Governors of the Northwest region seek collaboration with development partners in tackling insecurity. Legislative activities threatened in states as parliamentary workers down tools. Also on Political Update today, some political leaders identify youth empowerment and agriculture as go-to sectors in resuscitating the nation's economy. Now strap yourself in for another ride through Nigeria's political scene. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has given representation to member nations of the international community to work individually and on a multinational basis towards achieving global peace, which he describes as crucial to sustainable development. Addressing 6 new ambassadors and high commissioners posted to Nigeria, the president also made a case for concerted efforts towards mitigating the spread of COVID-19 and its impact on humanity.
It was a highly befitting diplomatic welcome for the new envoys on arrival at the seat of the Nigerian government to formally assume official responsibilities. They are High Commissioner Muhammadu Musa Nji of the Gambia, Kim Yong Chai of the Republic of South Korea, Thomas Felix of Slovak Republic, John Gerard Donnelly of Australia, High Commissioner Masadur Rahman of Bangladesh, and Ambassador Yao Riberi Butiamko of Guinea-Bissau. President Muhammadu Buhari, who received their letters of credence individually, said Nigeria enjoys very good bilateral relations with their countries, stressing, however, that the cordiality needs to be deepened and expanded in the greater interests of their peoples.
In addition to the fraternal relations between us, the one thing Nigeria has in common with your countries is peace. Peace is priceless, desirable and crucial to sustainable development and achieving the targets set by the United Nations global initiatives. Achieving global peace is vital to attaining food security. Peace and food security should be pursued simultaneously.
The president also emphasized the need for the countries to come together towards addressing prevailing challenges of terrorism, insurgency, displacement of persons, climate change, population explosion, human trafficking, corruption, poverty, and proliferation of small arms and light weapons, which he said are either sources of conflict or resultant consequences.
These challenges, though on a diverse scale, threaten the existence of humanity and human relations. These challenges underscore the need for the international community to work together to collectively identify appropriate measures to globally overcome these challenges.
Describing the novel coronavirus as humanity's greatest threat, President Buhari said the pandemic does not only affect public health, but also devastates people's economy and livelihood, hence the need for collaborative efforts at mitigating its spread despite the vaccine rollout.
Enhancing the existing cordial bilateral relations between our countries remains a priority. I therefore implore you, in the course of your duties in Nigeria, to build on the successes of your predecessors.
As each of us embark on this tour of duty, would like to reassure Your Excellency that we will spare no effort to contribute our modest but sincere contribution to the strengthening of the excellent relations of fraternity and solidarity that have always existed between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and our respective countries.
During the colorful ceremony held in compliance with the COVID-19 safety protocols, President Buhari wished the new envoys a very successful tenure and promised Nigeria's continued cooperation in fulfillment of their mandates.
Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the recently released Transparency International report on Nigeria is unfair. The minister was speaking to newsmen at the State House this week.
Take this rating seriously. So we actually went and analyzed the ratings, and we found that there's been some gaps. Either we have not forwarded enough data, or they have not, analyzed such data. Because we found it strange that the country's rating in certain areas remained the same for a period of 10 years.
The Information and Culture Minister, Lai Mohammed, maintains that giant strides have been made in not only minimizing corruption in Nigeria, but also the recovery of stolen assets both within and outside the country.
The government has put in place various reforms in fighting corruption. But some of these reforms will take time to yield the desired result, because the metrics used by TI is not just about graft alone. It includes how transparent or how opaque the services are.
He said following the release of 2019 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, for instance, the government initiated reforms to improve ease of doing business indices, including making sure that people get to the polls and clear their goods in good time, expressing optimism that when these reforms start yielding fruits, the perception will improve.
I believe that it's more important to put in place preventive mechanism rather than prosecution. And this preventive mechanism that we put in place actually include the programs launched by the ICPC, which is called the National Ethics Policy, which addresses integrity issues on all sectors of the polity and is directly linked to the pillar of national anti-corruption strategy. We believe that overall, by the time our various reforms in the areas of either the ease of doing business and other preventive measures, by the time they start taking effect, our rating in the next year of TI would have substantially improved.
For now, the minister insists that the rating by Transparency International does not reflect correctly the efforts of government in trying to curb corruption in Nigeria.
Former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Usani Unguru Nsani, says the nation has shown resilience in the face of daunting socio-economic challenges. The ex-minister gave pointers to the low-hanging fruits in the nation's economy and quick wins that can get the country back on an even keel in no time. He was in our studios.
Than several countries, because the consequence of COVID-19 in 2020 has collapsed many economies. In spite of the fact that we are not where we expect to be, but I have seen recent indices of economic assessment suggesting that we are making progress. And so without any form of exactitude, but generally, knowing that the global effect is affecting every nation, and Nigeria is able to absorb aspects of it, with the presidential initiative also to introduce certain palliative measures to citizens, I think we have not fared terribly bad, though it's bad and we are hoping for recovery. Well, as citizens, it becomes almost impossible to operate when the environment is not conducive enough. So, as government, we need to create the environment that will enable people flourish in enterprise, which means the government is supposed to not just give money, just giving money to people on their claims of credit without making available the necessary fertile environment to utilize the resources will only amount to business failures. So in my view, just as they are pursuing certain sectors like power, infrastructure development, yes, this will be a serious compliment on the efforts of the individuals. But as individuals, we need to be quite resilient and determined to invest in the primary sector being agriculture. Because today we have seen that all the synthetic sectors are almost failing. Agriculture and the service sector are the only ones that are prevailing. And then the technology sector. So these three are quite important. But the technology sector can only absorb people with skills, and it occupies a very small percentage of the populace. In agriculture, everybody can go there because we already have the substrate, which is the fertile soils in Nigeria. We have the land mass. But the other thing is that government has to ensure security for even that to prevail. Because today, our forest environments, our farmlands have become habitats for insecurity. And so government must tackle that security aspect very, very necessarily. Based on what has happened in the last cultivation season, I sense that there will be a hard time for Nigerians when we expect harvest. Well, thank God they opened borders for some imports, but that will not solve the problem, because that in itself has another negative effect on the economy. Because when the forest depletes, then the economy gets weaker, and it bears on the individual household economies. So it's a complex matrix that needs everybody to apply himself. Unfortunately, not all of us will understand it. And so some of us will continue in the activities that impact negatively against us without knowing or understanding the consequences. So government has to keep doing what they have to do. First, security. Two, continue to encourage the citizens by way of developing the sectors that are necessary for individual investments.
Moving on now, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, says Nigerians must strive for the sustenance of peace and democracy. As such, the language of disagreements should be civil and decent. This was part of his lecture at a workshop organized by the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies.
2 days of exhaustive deliberations at this workshop centered on enhancing political parties' visibility in social and mainstream media. While political parties must invest in the new media to elevate their participation in the polity and national discourse, the need to keep their proxies and supporters under check in the new and digital media cannot be overemphasized, as the medium is observed by many as more combative without regulation.
It's not for government to clamp down. No, let the issues be thrown out and let them be trashed in the public square. This actually, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari was given commendation for the respect it has for the fundamental rights of especially the freedom of speech.
Tribalism and bigotry that seem to have become a thing of the past are also observed to have resurfaced in Nigeria. As political parties leaders, Malam Garba Shehu threw up the challenge of not derailing from national integration.
The level of existence, there's no difference between Igbo man and Yoruba man. They're all the same. You can't say there's no Hausa man who is not an armed robber. Or as we are now seeing, Fulani kidnapper, ethnicizing crime. That's what's happening in the country today.
Misinformation shared over and over again has the potential to disintegrating the people and country. Participants and organizers believe that there must be deterrent to offenders.
Use the media to integrate our country and use the media to build our country.
Every political leader should be held accountable for inactions or actions that is either directly perpetrated by him or his troop or his followers.
Everyone with a phone today is a potential journalist capable of either giving out true or false information. Participants therefore enjoined Nigerians to tread with caution in whatever information they give out to the public.
Member representing Gadagoronyo Federal Constituency of Sokoto State, Musa Sirikin Ada, says the nation's teeming youths have the strength and creativity to get Nigeria out of its over-reliance on oil. Honorable Ada was in our studios earlier in the week to discuss youths and job creation as imperative for Nigeria.
There's no nation that reaches its yearnings for growth and development without supporting the youth to have independent source of income. All these white-collar jobs that we have been crying all over. There's no jobs for the youth, no jobs for the youth. It is time that we should reposition and recondition the minds of our youth to go into small-scale business enterprises. They should employ themselves and employ others behind them or along with them so as to grow their own wealth. Look at today, what is the minimum wage? 30,000 naira, less than $100. And until now, most of the state governors have not agreed to even that 30,000. Between you and I, tell me, which part of this country can somebody survive on 30,000 naira? How much is a measure of gari today? How much is a cube of sugar? How much is a kilo of any of the protein? How much do you buy any drugs, even malaria drugs? How much is it today? All these are unrealistic in today's life. So it is time that the youth should be encouraged and should be initiated to accept and uphold independent source of job by themselves. Go and empower them to go and cultivate their farmlands. Initiate them into modern agribusiness, fish farming, poultry farming, cattle breeding, goat breeding, and all sorts of grass cutters and snails in the south. And also initiate them on how to go to market them in other countries. We have neighboring countries, all our neighboring countries are depending on Nigeria. Until now, food smuggling activities is happening in all the West African sub-region. Go to the borders of Nigeria with Niger. Go and see how our millet, our guinea corn, our maize are taken out to Niger Republic, to Chad, to Chad, to Burkina Faso, to Mali, up to Mauritania. Our youth should be encouraged, should be educated to understand how to do legal business in a legal way. Encourage them, give them proper education, and give them some little capital intensive. This capital should not be given to them free. Give them a soft loan, a loan of maybe 5 to less than 1 digit interest rate. That's what we need. Of this country is enough to give us all we need. We shouldn't give much emphasis on all this oil money. The real wealth is in the land mass we have and in the youth we have as well. We should be grateful that we have a good number of youth. The population of the youth in the country is more than 45% of the population. And by every standard of development and everywhere, they are the one that should be the catalyst of development.
Parliamentary activities have been crippled at the state houses of assembly complexes across the country following the commencement of the indefinite strike embarked upon by the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN. Our next report examines what this development portends for the legislative arm of government nationwide.
Whatever measures that are within the contemplation of the Constitution are being taken by the federal government, we are all resolved to support those measures.
Deputy Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, pledging governors' support to financial autonomy at the legislative and judicial arms of government. Sequel to recent letters of ultimatum on the non-implementation of Financial Autonomy Act and Presidential Order 10/2020, the National Executive Council of Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria directed the union to embark upon an indefinite industrial strike action effective midnight of Monday, 22nd March 2021. Accordingly, all official activities, including committee meetings, have been suspended across all the state houses of assembly in the country.
What really got us to this level now is that somewhere along the line we are aware that the Governors Forum is challenging the Order 10 issued by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which means denying the legislature the financial autonomy. And on our own part, the union, because the financial autonomy will not only strengthen the legislative arm of government, but it will give it its legitimacy. You understand? And apart from that, it will strengthen democracy.
What does the strike portend for the legislative arm of government? Shaba Ibrahim is a political scientist, legal practitioner, and a parliamentarian.
This would definitely paralyze legislative activities on the long run. Non-implementation of a law is in itself, permit the coinage, lawless. And I think we need to really drum down this message across the board that those who have sworn to uphold the laws of the land cannot. It's not a matter of, it's not a buffet. It's not a matter of you pick which laws to obey and the ones to disobey. You have an obligation. All of us swore one way or the other to uphold the Constitution, and by extension, laws that are made pursuant to enabling provisions of the Constitution. So I think it's really a dangerous trend.
Him, however, called for an amicable resolution of the dispute, saying that every assented act is a law that must be complied with.
The All Progressives Congress Caretaker and Extraordinary National Convention Planning Committee has inaugurated a 61-member Contact and Strategy Committee. The chairman of the Caretaker Committee and Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, says he is committed to repositioning the party to enable it to sustain its momentum towards securing electoral victory in the coming decades.
The Contact and Strategy Committee is coming on board in the 9th month into the one-year mandate given to the Governor Mai Mala Buni-led Caretaker Committee. This, the chairman says, is to consolidate on the successes recorded so far and to play a pivotal role in the transition process towards successful congresses and national convention.
If you don't manage your crisis will manage you. Our vision is to provide a will that will drive the party to go beyond 7, 8, 9 terms of office. When we succeed in doing this, APC will definitely achieve more than what is expected to improve the lives of Nigerians and make Nigeria a great country.
Governor Muhammad Abubakar Badaru of Jigawa State is the chairman of the 61-member committee.
I note with commendation that many Nigerians have continued to join the party daily, and the ongoing registration exercise has further demonstrated the popularity of our great party in the country.
Among the terms of reference for the committee is to increase the party's numerical strength by taking advantage of the ongoing membership revalidation and re-registration exercise.
Now, APC members in the 11 wards of Akwanga local government area of Nasarawa State have restated their support for the APC leadership at all levels during a rally in Akwanga.
Quanta Farm in Akwanga local government has full to capacity as supporters and chieftains of All Progressive Congress from 11 electoral wards in Akwanga local government converged to speak with one voice in supporting the present administration of Governor Abdullahi Sule. The Deputy Speaker, Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Nehemiah NTA Andaura, applauded the initiator of the meeting, adding that such moves should be done on a regular basis to unite the people for common goal irrespective of any differences.
This program, as you can see, is really speaking the mind of the people. With the target audience here are really grassroots, and I think this is very, very important and interesting.
The convener of the APC meeting tagged Quantamania Progressive Movement for Governor Abdullahi Sule, Yakubu Quanta Buhar, the special advisor on youth and sport development, said the aim of the meeting was to unite all APC supporters from the 11 electoral wards in Akwanga local government to support Governor Sule administration in the state.
You recall that the National Executive of the APC have approved 25th of this month to kickstart the party mobilization, party registration across.
That's the much we can take on political updates today. We will continue our conversation next week, especially talking about election violence, which was started earlier in the week with the National Commissioner on Information and Voter Education of the Independent National Electoral Commission, talking about Mr. Festus Okoye. That has been political updates for today. Hoping that you'll stick with the Nigerian Television Authority, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews, and enjoy the very best of your weekend. Bye-bye now.